Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the grand final of the 2019 Queensland Premier Rugby Women's Competition. This afternoon we are live from Ballymore, the home of Queensland Rugby, as Sunnybank, our reigning premiers, take on West. The Bankers have claimed the past 4 premierships. However, with the Dragons missing a key number of representative stars, the Bulldogs have a huge opportunity to take the silverware away from Old Mac Oval. My name is Martin Lippitt, and joining me in commentary today is Sunnybank, Queensland and Wallaroo star, Kerry Lingman. Kerry, how are you?
Good, thank you, Marty. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, welcome back. I know you were the one team that I left out. You are on team rehab at the moment. How is all that going?
Yep, I'm about a week and a half post-shoulder reco at the moment, so it's going surprisingly well, relatively pain-free, but just dealing with life, one-arm life, and getting through day to day. I think my hair's probably the one that's suffering the most.
Well, it's looking pretty good now. See, I think you really just need to call upon, it's like, hey, I would brush my hair, but you're a righty, right?
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Well, it's a good excuse. I mean, the natural oils are really seeping into the skull.
I don't even want to imagine what brushing the teeth looks like at the moment. Now, Sunnybank are not only missing yourself, but a host of other stars, including Alicia Lafaufa-Casilia, Samantha Traherne. How confident are you that the girls replacing them are going to get it done tonight?
Yeah, I think, the story is these years that the representative seasons intertwine with club seasons. So, ourselves, like everyone else, go through quite a few games without their rep players. Sunnybank just happens to have a higher chunk. And Wallaroos at the moment, Shannon Marto's there, Christina Sikona, Alana Elisaya. So some really experienced and really key players for our team are away at the moment. But I think the biggest thing, and the thing that Sunnybank's had for quite a few years now, is depth. We've got, girls ready to go, new girls coming in that are stepping up to the plate, and, we have numbers to fill into those slots and do it well.
And obviously, not just the Bulldogs in 29. Well, what do you think of the Bulldogs first? And then secondly, your thoughts on the competition as a whole?
Yeah, they've had a good year. 13 wins during the regular season and only 3 losses. So they haven't done it easy, which I think is a good thing when you get to finals. Teams tend to, peak at the right time, and I think West seem to be doing this. They had a really tough game last week, almost took home 3rd place against Brothers, but managed to get there right in the end. Luckily this week they've got some key players to kind of boost them up a bit. We've got Lavinia Gold in at fly half, and Sarah Riordan returned just from Wallaroos camp a few days ago. So it's going to be a really good matchup. I'm excited for this. I think this is the best team that they've had on paper all year, so I'm excited to see what they can do with it.
And we'll take it back to your home side. Obviously, 4 straight premierships. It would be nice just so you don't have to leave one finger down when you put the hand up. It makes it just a little bit more, I don't know, easy, simplistic. Hey, and you can do it with your left hand.
I think 5 is a perfectly well-rounded number, and I would love for them to get the mighty 5. That would be great.
Well, as always, we make special mention to the sponsors who support club and grassroots rugby. Sunnybank's major sponsor, Card Record, and West's major sponsor, Metal Projects. Now, we're going to quickly breeze through these team lists. Why don't you get us started with the Dragons? So
for Sunnybank, we have Dora Filamohara, Teresa Noble and Georgia Tier packing in the front row. Okaroa Manihera, Vedekina Aho Fangaloka in the locks. Tui Sheed, Shai Rowlands, Lessa Matafa in the back row. Over to 9, Ayane Hirata, Fallon Ord at 10, Ivania Wong on the wing at 11. Interestingly, Kobe Jane Morgan, traditionally a 9, is stepping in at 12. Cecilia Smith at 13. Charlotte Kennington at 14. And Kuana Lopa at the back in 15.
I have to ask, number 19 on the bench there. A bit of a backstory on that one?
Yeah, number 19, Sam Lingman. I'm sure rings a few bells there. That is my...
Is it the person brushing your hair right now?
I did actually have to get her to tie my hair up
Very
today.
Very good, so she should.
And tie my shoes as well, so she's had a good warm-up.
Time you took the Velcro revolution, Gary, and really stepped up your game. Let's run through West, packing down in the front row. It's Wyona Bass, Leslie Norton and Bree Chetham in the second row. It's Olivia Brockhurst and Annabelle Cody in the back row. It's Tiana Molly, Miranda Dinnan and Gabrielle Senft. In the halves, we've got Maggie Glassick and Lavinia Gould. On the wings, it is Sarah Hernandez. Late change here. We had Nikita Sayo go down in the warm-up with an ankle injury, so Kaylee Reid will be jumping in on the right-hand wing with Holly Klaas-Uluf out the back at 15, and in the centres it is Sarah Auden and Maria Tabouai. Now, I've got to ask, doing the research and looking at all these players, Kiri, there's a lot of ladies that are playing this afternoon which have got not only Super W experience with Queensland, but there are some from that have had experience down in New South Wales, the ACT. We've got girls coming in from Canada and the USA. And PNG. It's the one thing about the women's competition, it's just you always seem to get a bit of everything and everyone here in Southeast Queensland. Yeah,
I think that's the best thing about club rugby. You know, we've got a really good mix, and to have a mix of international players and domestic players in a club final is fantastic. Gabriella Senf was a part of the Canadian team that just went away to the San Diego Super Series, taking on teams like the Black Ferns and USA up there. So she'll bring a huge amount of experience. Cecilia Smith was a huge part of the Super W series this year in that outside centre role. So a lot of experience out there, but, you know, to mix that with a bit of youth and, you know, new girls coming up and through, it'll be good to see the mix out there.
And obviously the competition as a whole seems to have strengthened a lot over the years. We're seeing new contenders each year coming up against Sunnybank, so it means that, you know, if there is some competition there. And, you know, we're hoping they're closing on Sunnybank, but you're talking about the big plethora of players at Sunnybank. Do you think the competition's growing enough that if girls want to get in the spotlight, you might see them maybe doing a bit of club moving these days? Yeah,
I think so. And, you know, the Introduction Souths had a team this year, and we even had a couple of girls go to Souths to kind of kickstart their women's team there. And Ipswich has introduced a team this year. Norths have thrown in a team again after, you know, going away for a couple of years. So I think the future of club is seeing girls kind of expand and come into their own at different clubs, and it only makes Super W stronger and eventually, you know, Wallaroos, and that's what we need at the moment.
And let's talk about the game at hand today. Do you think we're going to be seeing a game that's going to be very centred on the set piece with the forwards, or are we going to see a little bit of creativity and more expansive play? What do you think the flavour of this grand final is going to be?
I think it's going to be a huge forwards game. Two really big forward packs between these teams, and if I know one thing about these girls, it's they love to run the ball, especially the forwards. So I expect a lot of ball in hand running, a lot of big hits, and hopefully, you know, when the backs get it, just a bit more of the fancy stuff, the finishing on the edges.
The icing on the cake?
Yes, exactly. Cherry on the top. Something that I cannot do as a humble forward.
Put a cherry on the top or ice a cake?
No, run fast outside. Run fast out on the wing.
Oh, that's not with an attitude like that.
Maybe
and you can't use the arm as an excuse right now.
It'll be my project, rehab project.
What do you want to be doing? Like a sub 1200?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd make it pretty handy if I had to be honest. Sub 12, and we see it's good to see a crowd coming out here despite the obvious pink elephant in the room. Our boys heading across the ditch and playing potentially for the Bledisloe Cup tonight. So I think it speaks worlds about the spectators that we have out here that are supporting our women in rugby this evening. They are the last cab on the rank for day one of the grand finals. And it's good to see a team that's not brothers.
Yes. Although, almost. Had a cracker of a game last week for the preliminary final against West, and just lost it there in the end. So huge for them to have such a good season. It's good to see in the women's game.
And we see everyone pairing up. Looks like West will be fielding the kick as they're running to the northern end. So a couple of players now, all the players heading to the bench, they need to. And Mona's done a phenomenal job at holding the reins for Sunnybank for so long, Kiri. Do you think even she'd be satisfied with 5?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I hope
really?
So.
She'll be back next year. She'll go looking for 6. Let's be honest. Come on. Come on. And we are moments away. Charged atmosphere here at the home of Queensland Rugby, Ballymore. And we are underway. Grand final, the 2019 Queensland Premier Rugby Women's Competition. Everyone to their action stations, and it's what we talked about straight up. It's going to be set piece first off the rank. How do you see this one going?
Well, we just had a short kickoff there. I think that may have been a bit tactical. Kuana Lopa taking the kickoff just saw a little bit of space up in that corner, and Avanya Wong out on the wing is an awesome chaser. So I think she was just trying to retain possession, and just Wong had a little bit of trouble getting that ball back once it went over, so we'll go to a scrum.
Well, it's the first meaningful touches also for Maggie Glassick and Lavinia Gould over in Wests.
Yeah, they're quite lucky, West, to have them, and that experience. Lavinia Gould is a legend of the game.
Oh, there she is, feeding a phenomenal unders line.
She'll be huge for them for this game.
And Riordan working outside her, I think, is also going to bring a fair bit of punch at inside centre.
Yeah, and her experience too, her ability to keep her head in big games like this.
Glassick, she's looking for it. Oh, she's got a bit of competition there. Big shove from Teresa Noble through. Has spoiled that one, so just some good brute strength there from Noble.
And you'll probably see that a lot from Sunnybank throughout the game, constantly trying to outmuscle their opposition and taking little chances like that. You know, if you're behind that ruck and you're not strong over that ball, someone's going to come for you. Well,
let's talk about, the women's rugby in a whole. What's been your opinions on how the women's game's developed, especially in the last couple of years?
Well, for me, I kind of came in that transition when things were starting to really kick off. So it's gone from, it may seem like it's taking a while, but it's gone from 0 to 100 really fast. And with that, the standard from when I played my first final here 5 years ago to where we're at now, it's pretty incredible to see and to have so many girls. You know, in the past it was kind of one or two teams competitive, but to have, people fighting for that top 4 spot, it's good to see. A
little bit of sweet. This is the potential last outing here at Ballymore in its current form.
Yeah, but all for a good reason. I think old Ballymore could use a little spit and shine, so it'll be nice to see that.
I think it's a bit more drastic than spit and shine, but here they go. Same Matafa feeds it out to the right. Fast feet there from Lopa. She's going through. Another jerk off the right foot. Sunnybank looking strong. Harada pulls it out. Oh, wayward pass goes astray. West have pounced on it and they've turned it over. The Bulldogs in possession now on their own 40. No, they've lost it. Harada back. She looks to the left. Spreading right. There's a good line from Manihera. Now the Dragons slowly trucking it over. The maul. Not called. Penalty going against West, not clearing away. So a good opportunity here for the Dragons.
Yeah, and I think it's smart of them at this point in the game so early on. Everyone gets out on a final and you've got a lot of adrenaline and you're pumped up and you're ready to go. So normally, the first 10 minutes is a bit chaotic, and I think for the Dragons to kind of just relax and chew a few meters is good.
Good atmosphere here this afternoon. It's been a little bit warmer this afternoon. It was a bit cool this morning, I would know, because I was sitting at a rocky head down at Fingal at about 4 o'clock, freezing my backside off. But the weather's seemingly warmed up a lot now today. So good. I think good evening rugby conditions, if I have to be honest.
Perfect conditions for rugby. Perfect conditions for running rugby.
And the line out is successful. Hits Rollins at the back. Now they're going to work it through off the hands of Ord. Oh, there's a good line from Smith. She's lighting it up, cutting through the defenders. The Dragons making good headway now. They're going to look to the right. Oh, on the Morgan there, floating it out wide. Wong takes it through, gets a good offload to Lopa. Oh, but they'll take her out. Good cover defense from the Bulldogs.
Huge hit there, and if there's anyone you don't want tackling you, it's Lavinia Gould. For a fly half, she can hit.
Well, obviously, former New Zealand Sevens. She was the number 10 for the Queensland Super Ws, and obviously has got experience playing with the Broncos NRLWs competition. So, yeah.
She's done it all, really.
Yeah. Let's not run at her, hey? Oh, and a good line out from the Bulldogs. They've held on to that one well. Now it's time to see what they do. They go to Gould in the pocket. She's trying to kick for exit, but it's gone short. Kennington's got it now. She'll link up in the middle with Lopa. Lopa's going. She's got players on the outside. There's Wong. Wong's having a trot. Once more, this is looking good. Cecilia Smith charging through, unopposed Try in the corner, and the Sunnybank Dragons open the grand final with a try, 5 points to 0.
Just some good, clean counter-attack, I think. Obviously, Gould was trying to do a clearance kick there, which didn't quite pay off. And smart of the Sunnybank girls not to just spread it too soon, but to kind of draw their defenders in. And Wong pulling in the last two defenders there on the end for Smith to finish off in that corner is fantastic.
Well, I really liked how they regathered quite quickly there. There was a bit back and forth. The exit kick not going out for West, I think, really did them in a little bit. But, you know, Sunnybank regathering it, and they went pretty much coast to coast, one side to the other, and they get it in the opposite corner.
I think just with the back line that Sunnybank has at the moment, the one thing you don't want to give them is space. A lot of not just agile runners out there, but hard runners. Smith is a strong runner onto the ball. She loves running her lines, just like that one there. So for West, you know, if they're going to kick long or kick down into Sunnybank's territory, then they really need to be pushing up as a defensive line and chopping off that space.
And it's a small group of Bulldog supporters on the hill waving their flags, trying to obstruct the kick. It's not the easiest kick either. 4 in from the sideline, 20 out. Should wind it up. But it's fallen off the tee.
Doesn't look too windy down there, but...
Well, if you base it on those flags wailing at the southern end, it's blowing a gale. No, it's really not. No, it's definitely a lot less windy than it was earlier in the day. A lot windier earlier. She gives it a strike. Just doesn't have the legs for that one, but doesn't matter. Sunnybank in the lead. 5 points to 0 here. Now, Women's Premier Rugby Grand Final. Good crowd here of 300 or 400 gathered to watch the culmination of the women's season. But West will bring it back for the restart. Lavinia Gould. Gould, high, short. Oh, great take into the hands of Ahel Loka. Now the Dragons working it up the middle. Manihera, the other lock, will have a trot that time. They're going to keep going over. Great hands. Here they go. Expansive from the Dragons, pulling away on that left-hand side. Centre pairings, Kiri of Morgan and Smith. They're wreaking havoc out there.
It's just one thing, how lucky we are. You know, Morgan's one of the best halfbacks in the country, and to still have, you know, someone like Hirata in at 9 at the moment and have Morgan in at inside centre is just, we're just very lucky. Between
the two of them, they've got Super W experience both in Queensland, Morgan in New South Wales. Cecilia Smith, obviously, she came from the ACT up here, and she's been a bit of a star sensation this year, and obviously mum of one little old girl as well.
Yes, she is. There's quite a few mums out there, and that's, you know, a huge thing for players to be giving up times with their kids and their families and to get to trainings and to get to games.
I think I got to give a shout out to my wife, because our daughter only came home from hospital like 3 weeks ago, and I've been away this whole weekend calling rugby, so love you. Oh, and big shots nearly in the middle. But the Dragons in possession now. Lopez at the back. She's slicing up through the defence. A heavy left foot indeed. But she's brought down. But Sunnybank coming in like steam trains, clearing them out. Oh, and that's good hands from Smith. Smith does really well to stay in the field of play. Hirata, she's spreading it out. Oh, and she's met well by Gould in defence. And that kick will find some empty turf. Running on hard will be Hernandez. Hernandez throws it back into the pocket. Oh, she nearly runs into friendly traffic there, but the Dragons defensively attacking, pushing the Bulldogs back inside their 40-metre line. Here come the Bulldogs. And the Dragons really stepping up for the arm wrestle. Gould's waiting out wide. Oh, and she gets a good offload. And there's the turnover for Sunnybank. Now they're looking out wide. This could be dangerous. 1-on-1. Here goes Wong. Wong's going through. Cover defence is trying to slow her down. Wong brought down.
It's a good little strategy by West there with the pick and goes, just biting in defenders for Sunnybank. But then the next option, they needed to get it wide. They had numbers out there, and by not doing that, by taking it back up the middle, they've just given it back to Sunnybank, who are almost within their 10.
And now they're working on the right-hand side. Noble has really set this one up. Kennington will try and change the degree of the line, and she gets over. Great run there for Charlotte Kennington. Another try to the Dragons, and our four-peat premiers. They're really starting to show us why that's the case. And now, Kieran, let's talk about another thing. Obviously, coming up soon, we've got the A on Sevens competition. Now, we've all been following that for the last few years, and it's been a brilliant competition. But one thing that I've noticed is there's a lot of names that are jumping out at me from both of these sides, players that, up until a few years ago, we didn't know about them. How's the Sevens influence been on the women's rugby sphere?
Yeah, huge. Our try scorer just there, Kennington, was a part of the Griffith Aon team, which, took the championship for Aon last year.
Oh, did they?
Yes, they did.
Did they? Oh, do I hear an air of chippiness in your voice, Miss Lingman?
Not to drop any names, GU. But it just goes to show, players like Charlotte who can jump into sevens and then easily step into 15s. Shah has experience in both in representative levels. She was a part of Queensland XVs a couple of years ago and just recently came back from the Pacific Games with the Aussie Sevens, who went there to Samoa for the Pacific Games. So for her, it just shows that speed, that footwork is something that she's obviously taken from sevens and is carrying into the 15s game.
Oh, and Smith will have another go at that one. I think she was about 10 metres further in, so she had a much better dig, but still pushed it to the right. So the Dragons, they're up 10-0. Opening 10 minutes of play. West, they're showing signs, but the Dragons, they're just breathing fire all over the field at the moment.
Yeah, West have had some actually really good patches of attack and really smart patches of attack, like I said before, that pick and go, and they were, biting in defenders for Sunnybank, but they just need a bit of consistency. That they're getting the first couple of phases right, and then it's just not linking up with the backs, and that's when they're giving space and ball to Sunnybank.
And there's another hammering run from Manihera. Numbers spread out instinctively to the left for the Dragons. There's a cutout. They're not even going to waste any time. Smith's got the ball now. And now she's going to line it up through the middle. Loper's going, but she's brought down. That last-ditch effort cover defence from the Bulldogs. That's the second time they've stopped her, but the Dragons now, momentum and a good player spread. They've got numbers on the right. This is dangerous times for the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, they're overstacked on the right-hand side of the field, Kiri.
They are, and I think they're just defensively... they need to trust their inside man and get that spacing.
Oh, that was at least a few centimetres forward. Yeah, we're seeing that pressure building up from the Dragons. And in your experience, when you're out there and you see those kinds of mismatches, is it an experience thing? Is it a tired thing? Is it adrenaline because it's a grand final? Even though it's not a huge crowd here, like I remember the first game I got to play on Ballymore back when I was 17, and it was a big moment. It's an exciting moment.
Yeah, and for all these girls, it would be a really big moment. Everyone loves their club footy, and finals is just a huge part of that. I think for West, they've got, they've done their homework. They've got a bit of a game plan, and then they're not quite executing that all the way through, and they're getting a bit caught in that second end about what to do after that. So hopefully they can adjust that and come back.
Gould has another spirited run. West lining up options here on the short side. Players coming up over, ball secured. Lassick pulls it out. They look to the right. And she's brought down by Mataufa. Oh, good hands there for the number 10. Now they're going to work to the right-hand side. Here's as good from West. Some expansive rugby. Gould steps in, acting half, offloads it, finds Cody. And Cody will be met by hard defence. And someone's down in back play for the Bulldogs, not in a good way. Here we go, the Bulldogs. And a base getting a rumble on, finding the 40. Bulldogs starting to bare their teeth. Brockhurst trying to lock it down. There's a penalty going against the Dragons. This is a better showing from the Bulldogs, but it looks like we got someone down in back play. And
yeah,
there's two down. Oh.
Much better there from West, being a lot more direct and then getting that support in for the next phase. And Sunnybank just needs to be a little bit more careful with their discipline and not getting too carried away. And
down in back play, it looks like it's Miranda Dinnan. She's the sister of Declan, who plays for Souths. I'm not sure what the injury is. We'll just have to wait and see. It looks like there's a bit of focus on her left leg. And, you know, from someone who's coming back from a bit of injury at the moment, you just hate to see injuries.
No, it's not nice. Unfortunately, it comes with the territory, it comes with the sport.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. And so the current score, Sunnybank Dragons up 10 points to 0. And so far, up until about 3 or 4 minutes ago, you'd say, Sunnybank were the only real ones flexing the muscles, but the Bulldogs there for the last 4 or 5 minutes of play, they've started to throw their weight around a little bit, and we saw them physically contesting with Sunnybank up front.
Yeah, and I'll expect that throughout the whole game. Sunnybank seasoned to grand finals. This is their 8th grand final in a row, to be honest. So with West, they probably do have a few girls with nerves. Grand final, like you said, playing in a big stadium like Ballymore, it can get to you. So it can take 10-15 minutes for girls to find their rhythm and to get into it. So it kind of looks like they're starting to pick up the pace a bit.
Well, it looks like she'll be leaving the field. And it looks like replacing her will be the American, Ashley Knight. And we talked about finding rhythm tonight. I don't think there's any better song than Footloose by Kenny Loggins. Resident DJs here, always putting on the best of tunes. And Miss Felicity Bennett's escorting her off. What a champion Flick is with the QRU. Seems to, her sister Courtney, I believe, is also on the reserve bench for West, and she's part of the Ballymore. She's the Ballymore lady trainer as well, so. And Gould will step up to the plate with a kick for exit to come. Good strike by Gould, and the Bulldogs will have a line out 10 metres into the Dragons' territory. On the line out will go astray, or will they get it back? They will. Quick ball gets it to Gould. Great skills from Gould. Holds on to that one. No knock on. Now Gould getting the job done. Long place. Now they're going to come to the short side into the hands of Tier. She's leaning over Harada, trying to get that one out. Good work from Glassick. Now they're moving. Glassick working hard in the middle. Some solid contacts. The new girl, Knights. She's over the top, sealing it up. Now, Glassick trying, but that's a big individual moment there. Oh, and the quick tap and go. We're underway. Now they're moving out to the left-hand side. They've got the spread. First will be a run from Matafa. They've got numbers spreading out. They're going to bide their time. They'll send it back to the right-hand side. Quick feet from Philia Mohala. They're going to keep working to the right, try and suck in some defenders. Some shots are happening in back play, but they're going to keep moving it on. Manihara's next. Now they're going to spread. They've got numbers out wide. This could be dangerous for the Bulldogs. The physicality's definitely gone up a few pegs in the last couple of minutes. There's the crossfield kick. They're going to see how the players are position running on. Hot footing it from the left side is Wong. Wong's running on. That is a pinpoint kick, and she's going to get her. Will she keep her in the end zone? Ball's been lost. It's been knocked forward. Starting to see a little bit of urgency in this game.
Great kick from Kobe Jane Morgan there. That right there to me is experience. Looking up and identifying that there's no one home. You've got Vanya Wong out on the wing ready to go. So, that kind of thing, that's hard to beat.
Is that something that, you know, if we turn the clocks back 4 or 5 years, would you expect to see that in this level of a game?
Definitely not.
Oh, and the restart has gone very well for Sunnybank. Oh, too many cooks in the kitchen for that one, so West will get possession and a scrum. What have you made of the scrum so far, Kerry?
Yeah, I'm quite impressed with the scrum. You know, it's a little bit messy in general play from both sides here, so it'll be good to get to a scrum and give teams to just take a breath and reset. West are about to make another change. Looks like we've got Lily Norton down.
I just had to mute a certain conversation because I didn't want any spoilers for the Wallabies game right now. I'm just going to turn off. I think I'm just going to turn my phone off, and then I'm going to go home and I'll just dial up the replay on telly. So I'm going to be ditching my wife again for another rugby game.
Just be completely blind to all forms of
social media
on the way home.
I'm just going to take it back to like 2004, Kerry. When I was in high school and this stuff didn't exist, people actually talk to one another. Come on, get with the times, man. See, I'm that old. I remember when no one had phones. And then everyone got phones, and it was just like, what are we doing? And now everyone's got phones. Like, there are little kids who know more about phones than I do. I was like, I give up. All right, West now on the charge. Outside of their 22. There's a good run from Khasalouf coming through. Now on the left, Knights is, they'll cut her out. An electric feat from Gould. That one's a little high, but they're going to keep it moving forward anyway. West's committing a lot of players to the breakdown to maintain possession now. They're on the right-hand side. There is a good run. Gould on the left. Players on the inside now. There's a good offload. Here go West. Charging down the left-hand side. Strong strides from Hernandez. They're going to keep it alive. This is the Bulldogs that we wanted to see. Gould stepping into halfback. They're going to be rolling through. Here's Tia smashing up into the defensive line. Now they go. Gould once more. West have got the numbers out wide. They've just got to spread it. The crossfield kick pass. Fielded brilliantly, though, by Ivania Wong.
Right intention there by Riordan. I see what she was trying to accomplish just there. There was no one at home back in the end, but
hands
was definitely on.
Hands. Oh my! But what a good showing for the Bulldogs there. Now they've stemmed the bleeding. It's obviously 10-0. We've had a few little injuries, but they're holding their own a bit more now, and we're starting to see them spend a bit more time up the other end of the field.
Yeah, much better from the Bulldogs there. I think that's the nerves starting to shake off and players starting to run through some gaps and run hard. Gabby Senft on the sideline just there blitzing through a few Sunnybank defenders and then some clean ball for their backs.
I think the set piece, the line out for the Bulldogs has been a little bit wobbly tonight. It's giving away a bit of easy ball to the Dragons.
Yeah, and you know, set piece is a really tedious thing, and I think with clubs, when you've got 2 sessions a week and there's so much to work on, and set piece requires a lot of time, it sometimes falls to the end. Oh,
but here they go, the Dragons on the move. They've been a bit quiet, but now they're getting rowdy once more, pulling away Lopa, but she'll get brought down, and the turnover in effect by the Bulldogs. Crispy rugby here at Ballymore. Now the Bulldogs showing some vigour. Just under 14 minutes remaining in the first half. Now they're going to pump it around. Glassick. Good lines from the Bulldogs. And Glassick taking her time, lining up players for the charge. Oh, loose ball at the back. Backwards is the call. They'll keep it alive. Here we go. Cheffam now. Gould. Ball in hand. Gould. Oh, she's gone backwards a bit. She's lost some metres, but she'll get the offload under contact. Keeps it alive. Now they're going to spread it out to the right-hand side. Knight's there to back them up. Oh, big shove from Matafa. And this one's in jeopardy. And it's been turned over. All right, it goes to the left. They've got the players. The draw and passes on. Clean pair of heels. Lopa's pulling through. Lopa, all class, gets there in the corner.
I think that's just the thing about Sunnybank. You can't really give them anything. You can't switch off for too long because things like that are going to happen. Exactly. And Kuana Lopa, we've got so much speed out wide, you know, just exposing the space that West are currently putting on their wings.
But you know what I really liked about the West attack, especially in the last 10 minutes? They're playing it very tight. We're not seeing, like, they had a period there where they weren't going past two passes. They had players running hard lines onto the ball. And it actually, I think it kind of shook the Sunnybank defence a bit because we saw that defensive line for once. It wasn't just this flat, rigid line. They started having to, they were peeling, they were getting sucked in, and then we saw it. It nearly allowed them to get some good run on that right-hand side. So I would like to see the Bulldogs keep employing that technique because it's worked a bit for them so far.
Yeah, it is. It's working for them. Being direct, running hard, and, you know, when those holes open up, taking them then. And I think they need to identify that, and they need to, like they were doing before, is just play phases. Keep that ball in hand. Once you give that ball up and give a bit of space, you know, tries are going to get scored.
Well, they've got some great ball runners that just are wrecking balls when they get a bit of speed up, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And I think they'll start to identify that. It seems to be the case. They're starting to come into their own a bit more, West. So
now the only problem with Kuana Lopa scoring all those tries out wide is that someone has to convert them. And they haven't been quite successful yet. So the score is 15 points to 0. The Dragons in the lead over West for our Queensland Premier Women's Grand Final. And West, they'll get some chalk back on the blackboard and get back to it and take it back to the Dragons with a restart to come. I think Gould's taking a little bit of time. She's got a big smile on her face at the moment. She's a tough character, Gould.
She doesn't know what tired means, to be honest. So
it's a nice, tidy little restart, but a fantastic take. Oh, Fangaloka. Now Sunnybank. Here we go. A great opportunity here for the Bulldogs.
Just rusted a bit there, the Bankers. They had a bit of a plan there, I think, to take it in with the forwards and then obviously to go wide just then, and it's just gone through the hands.
And I think it was good from the Bulldogs as they kept their players out wide, they kept the mark, and they didn't, you know, let the winger get outside of their last defender. So they kind of forced Sunnybank to maybe think about a more central approach. So good work for the Bulldogs, and now a golden opportunity has presented itself. Feed is in. Classic's going to run it to the short side. Oh, they fed it very nicely to Hernandez. And they're going to try drag her over the sideline. There's a big pilfer attempt there from Aho Angiloka. And West locking down their own possession. Classic is firing at Gould, gives a good offload to base. Classic finds Gould. Gould throws the cut out wide. Good line defense, though, from Smith. Oh, Classic, she's a bit rushed on that one, but loose ball to the back. It'll be knocked on. So Sunnybank get a reward there for good defensive pressure. Now, you were speaking before about the difficulties that, you know, a lot of the girls, a lot of players do have when it comes to, you know, getting the set piece a lot tighter. Do you think also that for a lot of these girls, you know, they only started playing rugby, you know, some of them in the last 12, 24 months. Do you think that despite the fact that they haven't been playing for that long, it's still pretty incredible that how far they've come in such a short time?
Yeah, definitely. You know, when you compare that to boys that have been playing all the way from under 5s, under 6s and have been training this their whole lives, you know, for some of these girls, they're new to this. They've come in this year, they've come in the last few years, and to be doing set piece, it's not easy.
And there we go, the set piece. The Bulldogs giving it one hell of a shake, and now they'll receive their own scrum. Probably the closest bit of set piece that they've had this match.
Yeah, I think Harada there, just her feet went first before she had the ball in her hand. So just too fast off the mark and forgot that you need that round thing with the air in it to play. So
the grippy, leathery egg.
It is slightly important in this game.
You can't think though. Imagine like if someone decided, like who decided that's the shape of a rugby ball? Like go back like way back in time. Like who was like, hey, I want to make a cube.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like who decided it was an oval? Wild times. I'm sure there is actually some legitimate
There
story.
probably is.
But you know, we're just a pair of humble commentators. Women's Grand Final, Valley Queensland.
Not about to go digging into any kind of historical ball references.
And here go the Bulldogs, charging through. Oh, right place, right time. The Dragons have pinched it off them. Now they're starting. Very cool. Mataafa comes through on that one. And here we go. Some good pressure from the Bulldogs. And we're seeing them really the last 15 minutes. Majority of the gameplay, we've been in Sunnybank's half.
Yeah, starting to play a lot smarter there and just exposing the fact that Harada was there. No one was marked up, you know, to get some clean ball, and she took a little bit too long, so take her out.
Well, you feel like the pre-game jitters are kind of over for the West Girls now. They've kind of settled into the game and they're having a real hot crack.
I think so. I think that's what's going on here.
There's a nice contingent of supporters up on the hill. I'm sure everyone's getting live updates on current twos and fros outside of here, maybe over at Eden, but who cares?
But we are not.
We are not, because it's all about the Women's Grand Final. Here goes Gould, hammering it around the right-hand side. She's found space with the kick. And it's been recovered. Oh, the big no thank you to Gould. You would have felt that one a mile away from Lopa. Now Wests putting the pressure on. Sunnybank kicking for exit. And that's a really good net result there for Sunnybank from inside 22. That's a fantastic kick.
Great kick there from Kobe Jane. Those little legs can kick far.
Is that on the bucket list for you as well? Like we'll get the sub 1200 and then we'll also get you slotting in kicks from 40 out.
Well, I'd like to say that I'm already a good kicker. In my head, I am.
Comment in the comments below if you're backing Kiri's kicking style, but we're going to get back to the Bulldogs here. Becoming the crowd favourites. They are the underdogs. Pardon the pun. And now another penalty. So it looks like it's going to return to the set piece. So in your opinion, Kiri, what are we going to do here for the Bulldogs? Every time they're taking a line out, you know, they're winning less than half. You know, what do? Do they keep kicking for the line, or do you think that pony's been flogged a little bit too much and they might have to try and rethink about their approach?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get with a kicker like Gould, you want to try and make as many metres as you can to get that line out. But I like West when they just are direct and then they have that ball in hand. So I would love to see a few quick tap and goes from them.
I'm sure you wouldn't have to convince, you know, a certain number 10 just to have a solo crack, you know, one lady.
Maybe if I just scream it out right now, she'll hear me.
Yeah, well, just let me know and I'll make sure I mute your microphone so we don't kind of blow everyone's speakers at home.
I don't think I'll be screaming out any tactical advantages for West anytime soon.
You've changed, man. Now the Bulldogs. Gould, oh, this is immense. Just a hammering run from Cecilia Smith, and the Dragons have turned this round, a 20-metre turnaround. Harada, they're looking to the right. Another heavy run from Smith. She'll get over the 40. Harada now. Players lining up left, right and centre. That time it was Menihera. Another one. Oh, that one will go a bit astray. The call is back. Now they're going to spread it out to the left. Oh, and she shrugs off one. Good offload. Finds Noble. The Dragons, they've got everything spread out, but the Bulldogs showing some good defensive line speed, smothering their ability to spread it wide. Out to the right. Good through the hands. There's Menihera. They're going to keep running it through. This is textbook stuff. Wong off her wing, comes across, supports Keddington. Now they're going to look to spread it to the left. They've got players lined up in everyone's pockets out there. Harada fires it out. They're going to keep moving. Oh, show and go. Lopa takes it herself to the line. So West, they're countering well. They've got players sitting in deep, covering kicks, and they're marking up well up close. Good contact there from Chetham. Queensland Super W 2018. Also Melbourne Super W in 2019. Also part of the Army. There's a few Defence Force ladies out there. But hold the phone. Ball will go wayward. And it'll get picked up by Hernandez, who gets dragged into touch. Oh, and I think she's hit the deck pretty firm there. And I'll say this much, Kiri. You know, you girls really do clobber one another.
Yeah.
Like, you really do. Like, you know, just, it's really impressive. Like, and you know what? And you get up and they just keep going. And, like, I see a lot of the blokes. Other blokes are just kind of, they'll cop it and they're taking knees. But the ladies, they just get it done.
It's a tough bunch of girls.
They are. I completely applaud them in so many ways and admire them so much. It's so good. Oh, how good is rugby? Now, the Dragons, it's their first real attacking position in about 20 minutes. The Bulldogs, they fought valiantly, but it looks like the Dragons want to try grab some points just before the half time. There was a good trot from Kennington. She's been coming in off her wing along with Wong, really injecting themselves into the middle of the play. Good fend from Rowlands. Oh, this is a very spirited run. And Sunnybank, they're quick passing through the players now. They've got the spread out left. Danger. Wong out wide, but this will not do. And the Taffers having a trot up the middle. Harada. There's the go from Anihera. She goes straight through. Too strong, too good. And the second rower will power over. And we should have enough time for the restart, but that is going to pretty neatly round up the second half. And despite the scoreline, Kiri, you know, West, for all it's worth, they've actually been in there a lot for, a good quarter of the match so far.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth, and Sunnybank are having to work hard. You know, there are a couple of times that they weren't making the gay line, and they had to readjust and reposition, and a couple of turnovers there. So West just need to stay composed, and when they get those turnovers, just capitalise on it. I think you'll see from there Okiroa Manihera just bulldozing straight through the middle. And you've got to stop things like that. You've got to stop them from having the ability to do that, and the only way that they're going to do that is by holding on to that ball.
And this might actually run out the first half. I think it will. So Smith. It is definitely the easiest kick of the day for her. And Smith from out in front. Gets the conversion, and the full-time siren goes within about 1 millisecond after she completes the kick. So a great first half there for the Dragons. Kiri, they're up 20-0. We'll quickly talk about what you think the Dragons are going to need to do in the second half to hold on to this lead.
Yeah, I don't think the score is quite a reflection of what we've seen for the past 35 minutes. The Dragons have had to work pretty hard, and they've just been quite lucky exposing a bit of space and to get a few runaway tries. And, just then they had to work hard for that last stride and straight down the middle, but there was a lot of phases before that, a lot of back and forth. So I think they just need to be patient in the second half and not to get it too far ahead of themselves. I think when you go into the second half with a scoreline like that, you start thinking about doing the speckies and constantly running it and trying to find that space. But they need to repeat the first half. They need to stick to their gameplay, be direct, use their forwards, and then eventually when the spaces open up, give it to their backs to finish off. And
just before we go to a bit of a break at half time, the Bulldogs, they were kind of out of it, and then they came roaring back in. They had some good field position, but what have they got to do to maybe close this makeable gap?
Just hold on to that ball. They've shown in patches that they can compete, and they can compete well. And when they hold on to that ball and when they draw in those defenders with a bit of pick and go and then giving it to their backs, they've had space. They've had a lot of space and they've had a lot of ball. We just saw there for about 20 minutes they were, close to their 22 the whole time, and it's not unachievable for them to fight back and to do that for the second half. So hopefully they can have a breather and identify what they need to do for the second half to come back.
Well, it is half time here. It is 2019 Queensland Premier Rugby Women's Grand Final. Sunnybank are up 22-0 against West. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with the second half very soon, so don't go anywhere.
Do you know what? If you left it like that, I'd probably have no choice but to just admit defeat.
And we are back. Second half action here at Ballymore, the home of Queensland Rugby. It's the 2019 Queensland Premier Rugby Women's Grand Final. Sunnybank against West. My name is Martin Lippitt. Joining me is rugby superstar and all-around nice lady, Kerry Lingman. Welcome to the second half.
Thanks, Marty. All-around nice lady. Don't get that too often.
Yeah, we are crippled at the moment, so, got to give you something.
Do you want to know the score? For the...
No, I don't want to know the Bledisloe score. I'm doing everything in my power to avoid such a thing. Go the Wallabies! Oh, dear. If anyone out there in social media land spoils this for me, I will be very, very unimpressed. And we are away. Second half action. And Gould pumps it long, deep into the 22, and Sunnybank not even batting an eyelid at an exit. They're going to run that thing straight and true.
What a kick, though. About 45 metres, that drop kick.
That rugby league restart, I reckon.
She's just a all-rounder. Saw some soccer skills in that first half too.
Well, what she could maybe go all four codes. Go Super W, NRLW, I'm sure AFL Women's, and then...
Brisbane Roar, if you're listening, live in your gold. Sign her.
Gould, 4 code. Wow. She sounds like the kind of person we don't need to pump her tyres up anymore.
No.
She's already running riot out there, so it's all good. But like we said, Sunnybank in the lead, 22 points to 0 over the Bulldogs. And it hasn't gone all their way, the Dragons, in the first half, despite the score. The Dragons, they got off to a flying start in the opening 10 minutes, but then the Bulldogs, for the middle 20, really stuck it to them, and it wasn't until a very late try that we saw Sunnybank get over that infamous 20 mark. And now the Bulldogs, good field position, but an intercept will hurt the cause. And Smith, she's not going to take an inch and look back. She knows she is clear for days. That is a big, big statement from the Dragons.
Not quite the start Wests were hoping for, I'm sure. And if there's one person you don't want getting an intercept, it's Smith, because once she's off, she's gone. You're not going to catch her.
That 60-metre sprint from her just then was sensational. And I really love seeing players like that when they break the line. They don't waste the energy to look behind them. They back themselves in, just tuck the ears back and go for it.
Yeah. You know, when you're born with amazing amounts of speed like Smith, more blessed than others.
Am I getting out my small violin for you, Kiri? Jeez Louise. It's all about Kiri.
Some of us have no choice but to look around.
What about me? And I think it's probably it's pretty a responsible decision also that she's not turning around to take her own kick after probably having jelly legs for a 60-metre sprint.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got Yolanda Gittins on at the moment. She's got a pretty incredible boot. Also a part of the PNG National Sevens team, So another international to add to the mix out there.
Oh, what a strike.
Wasn't lying.
She hoofed that. Wow, that got like 4 rows up into the northern stand. She might have Smith out of a job, if I'm honest. Anyway, so Sunnybank hitting hard and fast in the second. They're up 29 points to 0. Our 4-time premiers at the moment, they are looking unstoppable in this women's grand final. Shout out to everyone that's watching. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're backing. We always love to know here. Big contest, and it's been won by the Bulldogs. Big moment. Here they go. Time to make something happen. West committing a lot of bodies. That breakdown's taken clean there by Chatham. Gould goes herself. Gets hit hard there by Matafa. Oh, a wayward pass out there, but the Bulldogs still charging up, this time in the hands of Malloy. Off the back. It goes through. Gould once more. Gould, great hands from the Bulldogs. Now they've got some space out left. Heading out, base goes through. Good offload from base to Gould. There's the 22. The Bulldogs, they're playing it tight. Playing it very tight. Oh, but it's been turned over. They get such good charge up that field, Kiri, when they're playing it in nice and tight. It really, Sunnybank doesn't have an answer for it.
Yeah, and the key to them is just holding on to that. Keep doing that. It's working for them.
Now from the pocket, there's the kick. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Number 19, Sam Lingman on the field, it looks like. Out the back.
Is she there out the back?
Let me double check.
She is too. She is out on the paddock.
She's crept on.
Big Sammy Lingman. Her first year at Sunnybank.
Is it?
Yep, into the final.
Yeah, well, if you've got any sisterly love / chat to throw at her, now's the time. How often do you get to have a one-sided argument?
Always.
Oh.
Guess who wins?
Sam. Now, West, pressure is mounting here from the Dragons. They've got players fresh off the bench. And the Dragons, I think they're going to want to try camp down this end of the field for a while. And another impressive run from Gould. How big her fuel tank is for this game. And seeing Sunnybank, they're really locking it down. 3 players sweeping out the back. Got a lot of confidence in their defensive line up front. Very aggressive style of rugby that they are playing at the moment. Base on the left. Base, she's shown she's got a bit of flair for running, and she gets a great offload. Here's the charge from Malloy again. Oh, the pressure's on there. Penalty going against the Dragons. Glassick being interfered with. Gould pops one off, gives it to Brockhurst, and now West. They're going to keep playing it tight. They do have a good spread out wide, but they're going to keep going through. There's a cheeky underhanded flick pass. Strong running from Riordan. Now the left, Gould. Offloads. Here's Cheatham. This is what we want to see from the Bulldogs. They're rolling through it hard and fast. Keeping it tight. Knight, the American, really throwing some American hot sauce on that breakdown. Now, the Bulldogs looking hard on the left. Player down in back play for the Bulldogs. Olivia Brockhurst it is. And everything's still going. Knight gets the place back. It's a hard one there. Glassick gets it. Gould offloads it. Oh, they've gone right near her. No, you need to not go near the injured player. Oh. And time will be off for a second here. Another injury. That looks like it'll be the 3rd for the Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs, when we look at that bench that they had available today, obviously that late injury saw Kaylee Reid thrust onto the starting lineup, but Ariana Atumai, Courtney Bennett, Rosie Harris, and Ashley Knight, who's on the field, Cheryl Renagi, Charmaine Taylor, and Charlene Vayafa Malo on the field.
Break and play for West here, but they had some really, really good momentum just then. They were being, what we said we wanted to see from them at halftime. They're just executing that. They were being direct, picking and choosing their moments and spreading it wide when they needed to. And look where they've ended up. And I think that's good to see. And hopefully they can come back from this break and keep doing the same thing.
Well, I personally see Maggie Glassick really just slow the play down because their style of play, it's a grind, it's not a sprint. And I guess after they can, grind 3 to 6 phases out, then you're going to see the space open up a little bit out wide because, we saw it before. Sunnybank, they're playing aggressive in defence. They're leaving 3 players out the back sweeping, which means that's 3 less players they've got in their defensive line. So if West can maybe take it to them and beat them at their defensive line, it's going to mean that they're not going to have the freedom to have that aggressive stance.
Yeah, and Sunnybank is such a team that they just want to be on everything. They want to be on the ball. They want to be on the player. So if they can keep doing that, if they can keep getting Sunnybank players to bite in and send 3 or 4 people in there, it'll open up for them.
Big opportunity for the Bulldogs. Scrum just outside 22. Inside 22, it's been a bit of an impenetrable fortress for them this game. Credit to the Sunnybank Dragons. Not only have kept them scoreless, in reality, they've pretty much kept them out of their 22.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing for Sunnybank. We've always been a really big defensive team. So I know before the game, Mosey, Coach Virtue, would have definitely told them, don't let them in that 22.
They'll back it down once more. Quick pick off the back. Senft is gone. She's got Hassick there as well. And Gould's taken out of the equation. She's got breakdown duties. Now on the left. Base. Slapping the base. Hammering it through. Good run there by the prop. Gould. What a line for a number 10 to run. Fearless. And Base looks like she might be injured in back play. Quick pick up from the back. Senft is going. Oh, there's space and there's numbers out to the right. They've got to be careful here. Oh, she is all over that, but she's off her feet. Senft gives the offload. This could be the moment the Bulldogs have been waiting for. They're pulling out to the right. One more. Gould puts her through. The doggies are there. It's try time. A huge moment for the Bulldogs, and you couldn't be happier.
It was just exactly what we were saying. You know, they were direct. They sucked Sunnybank defenders in, and they scored out on the wing. And, you know, if it was going to be anyone out there, I don't even know how she got there, but Lavinia Gould just happened to be, you know, the second last person.
She was running a tight unders line into the breakdown on the other side.
I'm sure she was on the other side of the
field.
field.
And now she's feeding Kaylee Reid on the right-hand side. Kaylee Reid, who, you know, big step up for her after Nikia Sau got injured in the warm-up. You know, that's to go from being on the bench to the starting 15 and then to be the, you know, first try scorer in the grand final for your team, good on you. How good. And now it'll, oh, surprise, surprise, Gould's taken the conversion. Is she one of those girls that's like, and the award for most kicks goes to Gould. the most carries, Gould.
She is a star, and she has years and years of experience, and credit where it's due. She works so hard, and I know Vinny loves to jump in the flank. I think that's one of her favourite positions, and you know, if you've got a fly half that can step into the flank, it's not a bad thing to have on your team.
Gould, oh, she had the legs for that one, just pushed it a little bit to the right. So the Bulldogs on the scoreboard, 5 points trailing 29. Oh, hold on. Wait. I understand. Now, we did talk about how some of these girls didn't grow up playing. I think one of the biggest rules you learn when you're young, you're not allowed to yell at the kicker when you're coming in. Not sure who it was. But generally, they're not allowed to run on the next one.
Noisy bunch, those bankers.
Just squawking. Because the thing is now if she can square up that kick, get it a bit to the left. You know, she's got one over Cecilia Smith because she's actually got one in from the sideline tonight. Throwing the gauntlet down. Good chat coming from the crowd here. Holy smokes. Oh, and she's gone too much to the left.
Good advice, though.
It was. And West, like we said, they're on scoreboard, 5 points trailing 29 to Sunnybank. Just under 22 minutes of play remaining here for our final grand final matchup of the first day. It's been a huge first day, and I think overwhelmingly the biggest victors today have been brothers. I believe they've walked away with 3 premierships, which is an astronomical achievement. And they've got another 4 teams in tomorrow, I believe. So big congratulations to everyone at Brothers for a phenomenal year and really setting the bar for the rest of the QPR men's competition and the women's competition also. And here's Base. Massive run from the front rower. She's just been a juggernaut up the middle of the field, working hard in between the 15s. Now Wests. They go into the left. They'll find Bronkhurst. Oh, and that ball's been stripped clean by Sunnybank now. Harita springs it out. They're going to keep going. This is a bit dangerous. Lopa goes through. Loose pass. Oof. Lopa still going. They haven't stuck the tackle yet. Harita goes to the left, drawing and passing. Wong gets a quick pass out. Smith gets it back to Wong. Oh, that's a big clear out. West, that's huge. What a massive effort there from Annabelle Cody. Oh, And the Bankers did not like that at all. Chatham goes through. The Bulldogs hammering through. Gould. Here's base. Oh, huge pass from the prop. Now they're going to spread it on the left-hand side. This is unreal. Here go the Bulldogs. Plus Olive gets the pass, but it's gone wayward. Very exciting stuff from the Bulldogs.
Massive momentum shift there, and the Bulldogs capitalising on it. Just not executing right at the end there, but, you know, Sunnybank needs to be careful. They can't be complacent in the second half, regardless of the score. West have found their groove, and they've exposed what they needed to, and they've obviously, you know, all shaken off the grand final jitters. So they're coming, and they're coming pretty hard. And
you were speaking before, when on paper, looking at this West side, do you believe this is probably one of the better West sides, probably the best West side for 2019?
Yeah, definitely. They've got a huge amount of experience coming back in for this grand final, and a lot of young guns out there, and some speed. So I expect a pretty big last 20 minutes here.
And on her base, Queensland Super W 2018 sister of Souths, Michael and Marvel's leaving the field after a very impressive 50 minutes of play out in the field. We're also seeing a few subs there for Sunnybank as well.
I think the good thing about Sunnybank is having the luxury of a really solid bench as well. So, you know, these girls will come in and do the job justice.
We look down there, there are definitely a few players to keep the eye on. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Sunnybank show a bit of respect to their adversaries, and they look for the exit right now, but you can't help but notice Wong is sitting in that pocket, but they've given away the penalty, and if this exit goes out, it won't matter, they'll dial it back. So I think the Bulldogs have served the Sunnybank Dragons a bit of a reality check here in the second half.
Yeah, and I think they needed that. I think when you get such a good start in the first half, and you get a bit more comfortable, and you start to think the second half might be a little bit easier, you sometimes need a little bit of a reality check to get back in it.
And the Dragons will work their way up. 17 minutes, 20 left on the clock here at Ballymore before we crown one of these sides the premiers of this grade, of this competition. And we're back to that old chestnut set piece, and it'll be a Sunnybank line out. Oh, and it's taken in the hands there of the captain to his sheet, but once again, Kerry, it looks like a bit of a hoodoo on the lineouts at the moment.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a letdown, you know, when you want to be tactical and you want to get that kick out there and make up those meters so you can have some nice solid set piece for your backs. When it doesn't execute it, it kind of puts a dent in the whole thing.
Well, if anything, I think it plays a bit more when Sunnybank aren't executing their lineouts well. You know, a lot of the time we're seeing a West scrum off the back of it. And personally, I think the West scrum, I think it's got the wood a little bit over the Sunnybank scrum today, because they're comfortable and it gives them a bit of room to actually execute some set piece like right now.
Yeah, I think so. And they're getting some really good clean ball off the back of that scrum, and then it's leading to
Oh, hold on. That was a hell of a pilfer. Hell of a pilfer from Charlotte Kennington. Textbook. Get out your notepad and write down those notes. Now they're going to look to the right. Oh, wayward passes, but they're going to swing it out. Gittins hammering it down the right-hand side. That is a sensational run. Acting halfback, Morgan fires it through. Oh, into space, charging away. Philly Murayahana goes through. They've got to get around the ankles. Now they're looking out to the right. Smith's there. Smith's already picked up a couple tonight, and she's going to swing around and grab another.
Yeah, good finish there by Smith, but I think that was off the back of Dora Philomoe-Hala busting down the middle there, which she'll be stoked about.
And I guess that's the thing, when you've got, like you said, those really great forwards hammering up the middle, sucking in defenders, and you have, you know, world-class players just chilling on the sideline, they've just got to sit there and wait because they know that eventually they're just going to have that opportunity just to have a pretty cruisy run over like Smith just had then.
Yeah, and it's hard to defend. It is really hard to defend that kind of thing when you've got a big bustling forward raging down the middle. You know, you've got 5 defenders after her, and then suddenly she passes it off to someone who just blitzes down the sideline. So it's not an easy thing to defend, and credit to West for sticking in there.
That's fresh subs coming on for the Bulldogs. Rosie Harrison in number 18 and Cheryl Bernagi in number 20. Doesn't look like she's too far off. And some more subs coming off the field here for the Dragons, Kerry.
Yeah, Vanya Wong having a bit of a rest. Dora Philomoe-Hala just did a beautiful work there running down the middle. She'll have a breather.
So the score is now 34 points to 5. The conversion to come. Dragons starting to look real comfortable now. 30 points, or 29 if you want to haggle me on it, the difference. But we're yet to see anyone nail one from this sideline.
Well, if anyone's going to do it.
Gittins pushes it wide. So Sunnybank up 34 points to 5 over Wests, and I think the door is closing very quick on the Bulldogs, and I think the Dragons can taste it.
Yeah, still a lot to play for though, you know, for West. They'll want to walk away from this coming as close as they possibly can, so I expect a lot from them still in this last 13 minutes.
We'll probably see most of the benches rotate on now. See what impact they can bring in the back 15 minutes of the game. And the restart up and down. Oh, it's loose, but it's picked up well. Gould. There's a bottomless supply of energy. Is throwing everything she's got at these Dragons, and there's the clearance kick from Lopa. Oh, bit of a fumble. She's given her time. Lopa's in chase, in pursuit. Oh, this is handy. Good work from the fullback, Class Holif. Now they look to the left. They've got some numbers. This is a good run from Cleetham. Scrappy play in the middle, and the Bulldogs are penalised. Now it's all just going to be about wearing down the clock. Kobe Morgan will take her time and kick. Any real surprise that we've seen Kobe Morgan transition to the halfback role in the second half?
No, I think that was the game plan all along, to move her into that halfback role as time ticked on, where she's definitely, you know, she's a star there. She's very comfortable, and it shows.
And Leslie Norton taking to the field for the Bulldogs in the number 2 jersey. The Sunnybank Dragons have just been an absolute force to be reckoned with in this match. At this point in time, looks like they're going to be picking up their 5th consecutive premiership. What an effort. Now they're going to work it out the back. Oh, wayward passing, scooped up. Here go the Bulldogs. Samps goes through. She's got space. Oh, Gould. She's smart. She goes back towards her traffic. She's already lining them out the left-hand side. They've just got to hold on to the ball. And a penalty goes against the Dragons. They're going to go quickly. She's not wasting any time, Glassick. They're going to keep looking. Bulldogs slowing it down. Pick and drive with Knight in the lead. Oh, but she spits it out. I think the penalty is going to go against Sunnybank not being 10. And I think we're a little far gone now to be hunting for threes. It's all about the 5s and the 7s.
Yeah, I think West will just be smart just to tap it and have a run.
They give it to Cheatham. Cheatham goes through. Ooh, they've got a bit of a nudge on here. Cheatham getting close, a metre out. Classics. Oh, that's... that will not fly. And Classic gets hammered and... Yeah. You know, wow, that's not what you want.
No, and it's put a dampen on the whole thing. It's been such a great game. It's not what you want to see.
You know, they say the men throw handbags. I think the girls are throwing the wallets then. That's a real shame because it's been a big competition tonight between both sides and passions are running high.
Yeah, and it's not in the spirit of the game, you know. It's just not what you want to see at any kind of footy really, let alone a grand final that's just has really been competitive and skillful final.
Yeah, it's hard, and now ultimately with only 10 minutes to go, someone might be in the naughty corner. Have to wait and see what's going on. There's a few subs lining up. I think they're getting fed by the spectators on the hill, but Teresa Noble, her grand final is done. And it's we do like zesty matches, but that's just it's a bit of lemon. That's a bit of lemon, you know, a bit of lemon zest in the old eye. It's just a bit of a stinger.
A little sour.
Yeah, definitely not sweet. And you can feel now there's a different charged energy down there for the back 10 minutes. And, it's hard. Grand finals are hard. Good thing we're up in the bleachers, right? And now West having a hot crack at trying to grab their second try of the night. Classic from the back. Gould. Oh, Gould shows and goes. Gould cuts back into traffic. That's pretty hard traffic indeed. And the new person on the field, Norton. Sunnybank, uncomfortable that Wests have been inside their 22 for too long. But the Bulldogs, they're not backing down. It's admirable. Gould passes it out, loose pass at the ankles. Now they're going to look around to the left-hand corner. This could be it. She's running through. She's got space. It's a try. Annabelle Cody, the daughter of QRU president and former Red David Cody. And the Bulldogs will reap a bit of reward for a grinding second half.
Yeah, and that's just off Sunnybank losing their heads, really. You know, tussle there. They've obviously been a bit hot and heated and just haven't been able to hold on defensively, and West have capitalised on it.
So a great try there for the Bulldogs, and there's still just under 8 minutes of play to go. So it's not over yet, but with 8 minutes, The Bulldogs potentially have to chase down 24 points, and I dare say that would be some kind of a record. Oh, who's that leaving the field with a bit of a busted schnoz? Who is it? Oh, Maggie Classic. Classic.
I'm sure she would have loved that one.
You did. Oh, dear. How much Vaso do you think they're just going to push up that nostril? On you go. Just don't breathe out. Don't sneeze.
You don't need a nose.
I just get like the real freaky like face bandage. That's my favourite. I think Fons Horomia had it at the beginning of the season. It's like he's looking through a visor of tape.
I mean, does it do it? Like, does it do anything? Just
it satisfies the no bleeding part.
Does it do anything besides give the crowd
ammunition?
Amusement?
I'm not a doctor. On good strike, but it'll fall just a little bit.
I would hope not.
And Sunnybank will bring it back. Their third restart of the match. 6 minutes 30 remaining. West trailing 10 points to 34. And Sunnybank will be down to only 14 players for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, and I'm hoping in that little huddle there, you know, regardless of the score, I'm hoping Sunnybank, you know, just pulled it in and said that they want to finish this game on a high.
Definitely keeping it dialed to 11 in the intensity scale, which is wonderful to see all night. Gets cut out in a big way. Looping around the corner, Bennett's. This is good from Wests. Pick and drive from our try scorer, Annabelle Cody. Knight now. Well, they're holding her up. Will the maul be called? Sunnybank contesting at the breakdown. They're putting a big shove on. The turnover could be there. Oh, and that's a penalty. You cannot come through the side, breach Cheatham, and just pick it up and go. Got to come through the gate, young lady. And all in all, I think West's going to be pretty happy with their performance tonight. We've seen this match in previous years, courtesy of yourself, sometimes blow out to quite substantial numbers, but you take this, you ignore that score a bit. In a lot of ways, it's been a real arm wrestle tonight between two quality sides.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy for the Dragons, and credit to West. I think they can walk away knowing that this second half probably belonged to them. You know, just a little bit of trouble crossing the line just in the end of a lot of their play, but they were smart. They played smart, and they realised what they were doing well, and they stuck to that. It's
really got to sow some really important and confident seeds for the future for this West side, because they've really gone toe to toe with, you know, the team of this decade, and they've you know, they have come off second best, but compared to some others' attempts, they should hold their heads pretty high.
Yeah, you know, for a team that's been in 8 grand finals and has won 5 of those 8, they know what they're doing. So, you know, definitely, like you said, they came in as the underdogs, and they've done well today.
And there's a good charge from Riordan, still hammering it away in the centres. Advantage going to the Bulldogs. There was a knock on. So 4 minutes on the clock remaining. It'll be a bit of a race to see who can get some final points, but I think it's safe to say the Dragons are sitting very pretty on 34 to West 10. And now this is the first scrum that we've had since the yellow card, so we're going to have to see a bit of a reshuffle, and it looks like Fumio is coming back onto the field because they're going to have to pull someone off. So West now, the numerical advantage at scrum time, 8 on 6. We should see them get a bit of a shove on here, and that's going to, I guess, change the whole dynamic once more with only 3 minutes 30 left on the clock. This grand final's had a bit of everything, hasn't it?
It has. And I think even with 3 minutes left, both teams probably know that there's potentially another 5 points out there. So
Morgan hunts through. She's going to try pressure that inside 22 exit, see if they can get a line out of it. Oh, charge down off the Gould kick. Loose, scrappy ball. It's been picked up, running hard down the right-hand side, but they'll go into touch. So Wests hold a bit of defence here, but what do? Do they kick for exit, or do they really try and rattle this numerical advantage sabre and see if they can creep across for one more try? 2 minutes 30 remaining. So it's anyone's game for the last 2 minutes. You know, it could go anyways. So the Dragons will be walking away with the silverware, but there could be just some cheeky bragging rights to come from this last 2 minutes. Because despite the Dragons winning, I think it's fair to say that the Bulldogs, they shook the cage a bit today.
Yeah, especially in the second half.
I think it was the physicality, because we haven't often seen teams that really step up to the plate and go toe-to-toe in the physicality department, because, you know, they ran in an easy 15 before the Bulldogs switched on. So we take that 15 away from the score. It's really a 20-10 scoreline when both teams have been firing on all cylinders. So, you know, if you look at it through that rose-coloured lens, it's a very impressive performance for Wests. Yeah,
and Sunnybank is such a physical team, such a dominant physical team, that the only way to really counterpart that is to be physical as well, as fight fire with fire.
Just imagining like a bulldog and a dragon fighting.
Well, I mean...
Well, it depends. It's like one of the small dragons, you know, like when they're babies versus like a full-size bulldog. It's like that. It's like that whole.
I still think
it's like, would you
mystical fire-breathing creature.
Well, it comes back to the saying, and we can ask everyone at home: would you prefer to fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? You know,
okay.
What would you prefer to fight?
In the comments, would you rather fight a baby dragon or a giant mutant bulldog?
Go nuts, everyone. Here we go. The Bulldogs, bit of flair here, but the Dragons aren't quite done. And now pulling away Lupa. It's coming right down to the wire. Slicing through is Gittins. Gittins goes through. She gets hit hard, though. Morgan at the back. Offloads. Good hands there. The Dragons working their best down that right side. Good line from Smith. They're 6 metres out. West looking for the pilfer, but they've given away advantage. Quick tap from Morgan. She's not wasting any time. Oh, no. She'll be brought back.
Kind of just the story of the game for the Sunnybankers, and the reason why they're on 34 points at the moment, and the full-time Hewitter's just gone. They've just been capitalising on West's mistakes. That's all it's been.
Just those small, like the split seconds where West might switch off. And here they go. One more final bite of the cherry. One more pass they can get there, and they will. That will dust it off with a conversion to come, but it won't matter. The Sunnybank Dragons are our 5-peat grand finalists. A massive effort and a massive congratulations for Myrna and all of the staff at Sunnybank, and especially the girls that have played in the match tonight. It is a huge effort, and it's not just the shoulders of these girls, Kiri. There are so many that have come before, and they're taking up that mantle, and they're keeping this legacy. They're building this legacy, and it's going to keep going forward. And, you know, you look forward from here, and if someone even argued the fact that Sunnybank weren't going to be in contention again next year, they'd be dumb, because they're going to be back. They're going to be strong. But, you know, in a different way, West, I think, were the big winners tonight, because it was a superb performance from them. And you don't often, you know, get to throw a rock at the biggest bully in the yard and, you know, stand your ground for a bit. So they did really well, and I think it should inspire them to work harder for 2020.
Yeah, at full credit to West, it's very easy in a game, you know, when it's 22-0 at halftime, just to let it go, and they didn't do that. They did the opposite. You know, they fought hard, and I would even say they probably won this second half with their effort. As far as Sunnybank goes, also credit where it's due. They played patient, and they were patient and fiery in that first half, and that's really where they've won it, in that first 20 minutes. Where the lead just kind of blew out, and, you know, obviously not enough time to bite it back. So huge effort from them, and really good work.
And Yolanda Gittins can't grab the extras and crack the magical 40. But that is full time here at Ballymore, and Sunnybank have done it. They are our 2019 Queensland Premier Women's Premiers. A big congratulations to all of them. And I guess that is going to about wrap us up out here, Kiri. Thank you so much for hanging up in the bleachers with me for the last 2 hours.
No, thank you, Marty. It's been outstanding.
Sporting my nonsense. Well, everyone, that wraps us up for day one of grand finals here at Ballymore. It's been a huge day. There have been many winners, and there have also been some very somber losers as well. But hey, that's finals. It's all going to come to a close. So a big congratulations to all of our winners today and all of the runners-up. Back to the drawing board, and we'll see you next year for a bigger and more eventful day. Remember, folks, tomorrow it's the big one. It's the Hospital Challenge Cup, UQ and Brothers, kicking off here in the afternoon at 3:20. Make sure you get down to Ballymore, because let's face it, we're not going to have another grand finals here potentially once this old girl might, bite the dust when they do the renovation. So get down here, but if you can't, make sure you tune in live and free via redsrugby.com.au. Nah, better than that, the Queensland Premier Rugby Facebook page. It's the place to go. My name's Martin Lippier. Thank you so much for joining me, and good evening.